respectively. As at the end of September 2013, the total revenue stood at 84.076 billion naira. Of this amount, 57.160 billion represented accruals from the Federation account, and 40.486 billion was internally generated, while aids and grants and capital receipt accounted for 0.425 billion naira and 12 billion naira respectively. In the 2013 revenue performance, in 2013, therefore, revenue performance was affected by the drastic reduction in the personal income tax, leading to a big drop in our internally generated revenue to the tune of approximately 500 million naira monthly, or about 6 billion naira during the year. The drop in the allocation from the Federation account arising from the alleged oil theft has also adversely affected the revenue profile of Edo State, just like other states in the Federation. These are challenges that have added. These are challenges that we have had to contend with in 2013. Taking this into account, therefore, allow me, Mr. Speaker, to present to you the performance on the expenditure side. Our recurrent expenditure component of the 2030 budget was 66.242 billion naira, which is made up of the following. 1. Personnel costs. This accounted for 28.017 billion naira. Overhead costs about 17.115 billion naira. Consolidated revenue for charges 0.160 billion naira. That is for statutory office holders. Pension and gratuities 5.460 billion naira. Total recorded debt 15.490 billion naira. As at the end of September 2013, the total recurrent expenditure incurred stood at 46.847 billion naira. The breakdown is as follows. Personnel costs 18.9 billion, overhead costs 9.5 billion, consolidated revenue for charges 0.075 billion, CRFC statutory office holder salaries, pension and gratuities 2.9 billion naira, and of course recurrent debt repayment 15.363 billion naira. Mr. Speaker, sir, I am delighted to report that we have remained faithful to our wage obligation despite the dwindling allocations and inflows from the Federation account, which led to delay in payment of salaries by even some of our neighboring states that are far more buoyant in relation to Edo State. As we speak, there are several hundreds of local governments out of the 774 local governments in the country that are unable to pay salary running into months. In Edo State, we have taken steps to assist and encourage our local governments to pay and to meet their salary obligation as I went due. As we speak, sir, many states, including states in our South-South sub-region, there are quite a number that are unable or they are in default in the area of payment of salaries as I went due. It is therefore for me a thing of pride to be able to say that in spite of the sharp drop in the allocation from the Federation account and the sharp drop of almost 25% in our internally generated revenue, we have assured that we maintain and respect the sanctity of payday, because for us, the laborer is entitled to his wages as and when due, regardless of the vagaries in government finances. Mr. Speaker, I think it is also worth noting, given the history of this state, that we are able to honor our pension and gratuity commitments. As at the end of September 2013, we have disbursed about 2.942 billion naira to pensioners, and towards the liquidation of inherited pension and gratuity liabilities, which we inherited from previous administrations. I think it's also worth noting, Mr. Speaker, that in Edo State, pensioner salaries are paid exactly the same time that salary of other workers are paid, because we believe that we ought to show and demonstrate that we do appreciate our senior citizens, and this we will continue to do. On the whole, Mr. Speaker, we have sustained our policy of financial prudence and budget discipline, which has kept the cost of governance within reasonable limits and ensured that more resources are channeled to capital expenditures and welfare enhancing projects. Capital expenditure. The approved capital expenditure for the year 2013 was 87.8 billion naira. As of September 2013, actual capital stood at 24.6 billion. The substantial part of the capital disbursement have been spread over priority sectors of the state economy as listed hereunder. 1. Construction of roads, both intracity and intercity roads across the 3 senatorial districts. Flood and erosion control infrastructure. Rebuilding primary and secondary schools. Healthcare infrastructure. And a substantial investment in information communication technology infrastructure, energy and water. Road development. In 2013, we have made substantial progress in road construction across the state. We have completed 11 important intercity and intracity roads during the period, in line with our vision to deliver good quality, well-drained, and all-year motorable standard roads across the state. In addition to this, 14 other road projects are ongoing as we speak. We are, of course, not oblivious of the fact that there are still several communities that need to be linked to adjoining economies through motorable roads. I wish to assure you, Mr. Speaker, that we would not relent in our efforts towards fixing the outstanding roads and integrate other communities to the larger economy. We are clear that the challenge of sustained effort to eliminate and eradicate poverty in our rural communities require that we make substantial investment in connecting those communities to the economy of the state through motorable roads, among others. Rural electrification. We are convinced that electrification is a critical input in the development process. For our rural communities, electricity is vital for the burgeoning small and medium-scale enterprises. In line with our policy to make rural areas attractive and minimize the incidence of rural-urban drift, this government extended electricity supply to 10 rural communities that were hitherto without electricity, while electricity supplied to existing PHCN network in about 47 communities was reinforced across the 18 local government areas. Similarly, a total of a number of transformers and feeder pillars were purchased and installed during the year. As part of our program of environmental protection and urban renewal, we have in 2013 sustained our effort at combating the menace of flood and erosion in Benin City and other parts of the state in a holistic manner. In this regard, the implementation of the Benin City Storm Water Project continues to occupy the front burner of our environmental development sector. It is also important, Mr. Speaker, to note that massive work has been done at the popular 5 junction intersections, culminating in its successful commissioning during the year. This project, as I'm sure honorable members of this House are aware, is a success story in urban planning, and it stands as a living testimony to our resolve to make life much better for the great people of our state. Also, a part of the environmental protection measures carried out in 2013 is the desilting of existing drains in major towns. Our efforts are no doubt beginning to bear fruits. We have been able to substantially reduce the problem of perennial flooding and the resulting fatalities and destruction of property, which have been the experience of our people over the years. While we build on the gains we have made so far in flood and erosion control, Mr. Speaker, I wish to reiterate my earlier appeal to the public to refrain from acts that tends to lead to the blockage of existing drainages and waterways through indiscriminate dumping of refuse and erection of illegal structures. The government will continue to deal decisively with these issues. We will continue to remove illegal structures that obstruct the right of way and structures that block the natural waterways. We need to inconvenience a few in order to guarantee the security of the majority. Education. From the outset, Mr. Speaker, we have given a pride of place to education because we are convinced that education is the foundation for any meaningful, long-term and sustainable progress in any society. This has continued to inform our objectives and actions in the educational sector, mainly the building of new schools and rehabilitation of existing ones. Accordingly, the massive renovation of schools, which was embarked upon by this administration with the robust support of this Honorable House as part of the total school transformation agenda, has remained firmly on course. In this regard, more schools have been rebuilt, while additional classrooms are being constructed. In the same vein, chairs and desks, as well as instructional materials, were distributed to schools. It is also noteworthy, Mr. Speaker, that 3 model schools to be furnished with state-of-the-art equipment are currently under construction, 1 in each of the 3 senatorial districts. Although I must admit that this work has turned out to be far much lower than we thought would be the case. But everything is being done to ensure that the schools are completed in 2014. We have equally made substantial progress in our effort to restore standards through the screening of teachers to ensure that only those qualified to teach in our schools are so employed. And where wrong people have been employed in the past, that steps are taken to effect the necessary correction. These and other measures have further strengthened public confidence in our public schools, which is evident in the continuous increase in fresh enrollment and re-enrollment in our public schools. In fact, the data shows clearly that public school enrollment has almost doubled over the past 5 years. Health. In the area of healthcare, our goal has remained the strengthening of secondary healthcare through the construction and or renovation of existing structures and provision of hospital equipment and preventive services. In 2013, we have made good progress in the implementation of capital projects and programs in this sector. We have also achieved qualitatively positive results from health intervention initiatives. This is quite evident in the area of maternal and child health. Maternal and child mortality have dropped significantly below the national average, as attested to by UNICEF and World Health Organization. It is also noteworthy that just as we have witnessed in the educational sector, public confidence in our health institution is steadily being restored. Mr. Speaker, hopefully before the end of this year, which is just about 2 weeks away, we will be commissioning the hospital at Ewori, and I would like to encourage Mr. Speaker and other members of the House to take time to inspect. This is consistent with your oversight functions. I think we've done a job that this House will be very, very proud of. Information communication technology. In order to strengthen the governance process in the state, achieve value for money, and ensure transparency and accountability in government financial transactions, this administration has invested massively in ICT to facilitate our efforts in this direction. In 2013, we have undertaken an innovative expansion of our ICT infrastructure and taken it to a higher level. With the launching of Edo State Open Data Portal, Edo State became the first sub-national government in Africa to successfully develop and launch an open data portal. This portal is aimed at empowering citizens to collaboratively participate in public sector innovation, promoting entrepreneurship and research, and open innovation partnership that will translate into jobs and investment in promising startups. It is also the objective of the portal to increase trust in government through citizens' engagement and improvement in their lives by leveraging on technology. The 2014 budget estimate. Mr. Speaker and honorable members, the 2014 budget is christened Budget of Renewed Hope, aimed at sustaining our commitment to taking Edo State to the next level. Coming at the wake of the 5th anniversary of this administration, the 2014 budget estimate is targeted at the completion of the current ongoing projects and expansion of infrastructure. It is, in essence, aimed at opening up the state economy for rapid socio-economic development while leveraging on the economic infrastructure we have put in place. This is in tandem with our broad strategy to stimulate productive activities, enhance sustainable livelihood, improve human welfare, and boost economic growth through investment in physical and social infrastructure. The objective of 2014 budget. In consonance with our strategic objective and our commitment to sustain the tempo of development in Edo State, the major policy objectives of the 2014 budget are as follows. 1. Completion of ongoing infrastructural projects, provision of qualitative provision of qualitative and completely free primary, junior secondary, and senior secondary education, and provision of affordable healthcare delivery services. Creation of investment-friendly environment for a private sector-driven economy. Pursuit of human capital development. The development of agriculture for empowerment, for employment generation, self-sufficiency and self-reliance in food and raw material production, intensification of internally generated revenue collection and administration. The budget is also aimed at improving the delivery of capacity of public institutions and personnel as an overall strategy to enhance the quality of governance. This is consistent with our belief that government must continue to work optimally to deliver development to the greatest number of our people at the most reasonable costs and in the shortest possible time. Mr. Speaker, allow me to just speak to some of the highlights of the 2014 budget estimates. The proposed budget size of 2014 is 159.2 billion naira. The budget consists of 85.5 billion as capital expenditure, representing about 53.7% of the total budget, while the proposed recorded expenditure is 73.6 billion naira, which represents about 46.2% of the total budget estimate. The sum of 115.5 billion naira is proposed as recurrent revenue, which is made up of the following components: statutory receipts 65.3 billion naira, internally generated revenue 25 billion naira, aid and grants about 4.8 billion naira, value added tax 8.2 billion naira, excess crude account 6.4 billion naira, and capital receipts about 5.5 billion naira. Recorded expenditure. The estimated total recorded expenditure for 2014 is 73.6 billion naira, and it consists of the following: personnel costs 31.2 billion naira. We have taken into account, Mr. Speaker, our commitment to commence the implementation of funded pension scheme, because the current pension arrangement is not sustainable. And this House has earlier passed a law to that effect. Overhead costs about 16.4 billion naira. Pension and gratuity about 5 billion naira. Statutory office holder salaries 0.2 billion naira. I think this is better put clearly about 250 million naira. Public debt charges about 20.56 billion naira. Capital expenditure, in line with the policy stance of this administration, the bulk of our capital expenditure is allocated to the core priority areas, and the sum of 85.5 billion is proposed for 2014 capital expenditure. With your permission, sir, allow me to state the sectoral allocation of the capital expenditure estimate. Administrative sector 1.3 billion naira. The economic sector 45.9 billion naira. Law and justice sector 0.64 billion naira. Social sector 37.6 billion naira. Road projects. In 2014, this administration will continue to accord priority attention to the construction of network of roads for sustainable socio-economic development of the state. Consequently, the sum of 24 billion naira has been proposed for all roads infrastructure across the state. The funds will be targeted at the completion of ongoing projects and the commencement of new roads already designed. In addition, 26 new intercity and intracity roads across the 18 local government areas have been earmarked to receive attention during the year 2014. Government will continue to prosecute its ongoing effort at combating flood and erosion, as well as to ensure a clean, safe, and green environment in the 3 senatorial zones of the state. In this connection, the sum of 10.2 2.95 billion naira has been proposed in 2014 budget estimate for the environmental sector. As a veritable instrument for sustainable development, this administration will continue to accord education its pride of place in the 2014 budget year. Consequently, the ongoing reconstruction and expansion of infrastructure in primary, secondary, and tertiary institutions will be intensified. Also, the development of technical education as part of the total transformation of the school system will be sustained. Accordingly, the sum of 15 billion has been proposed for the educational sector in the 2014 capital budget estimate. Health. The sum of 8 billion has been allocated to health sector in the 2014 capital budget proposal. Among the capital projects earmarked for execution include all the current ongoing projects in the health sector. Completion of construction and equipment of the new accident and emergency 200-bed ward complex at the Central Hospital. The completion and furnishing of second and third floors of the Block D of the new Secretariat complex to provide permanent accommodation for the Ministry of Health, and completion of 3 warehouses and supply of equipment in the Central Medical Store in the city. It is our desire to improve private-public partnership in the healthcare delivery system. In this regard, the government has received offers from well-meaning organizations which will be concretized in 2014 to ensure that our people have access to highly specialized facilities. Some of the areas of partnership being considered include: 1, the construction and installation of a magnetic resonance imaging machine and the establishment of an ultramodern in vitro fertilization IVF center in the state. The MRI machine will aid in the diagnosis of serious head and spinal cord conditions, among others, while the IVF is to assist women who are unable to achieve pregnancy to have babies of their own. Establishment of purpose-built diabetics medical support centers in the 3 government-owned hospitals to provide quality diabetic care to citizens of our great state. In 2014, prime attention will be given to the completion of ongoing projects in the area of rural electrification, while new ones will be embarked upon. Similarly, the state government has entered into partnership with Azura Power West Africa for the establishment of a gas-powered plant at Ihiobo near Benin City. On completion, the plant is expected to inject about 950 megawatts into the national grid. In order to boost power generation and increase the availability of power for consumption in Edo State, the sum of $500 million has been proposed in the 2014 capital budget for the energy subsector. Consistent with government commitment to generate sustainable employment and boost domestic commercial agriculture, we are committed to pursuing innovative initiatives in order to refocus and reposition the sector It is the desire of this administration, Mr. Speaker, to strengthen the agricultural sector and make agribusiness a viable proposition across all branches of agriculture. In 2014, attention will be given to finalizing efforts to cultivate over 300,000 hectares of new farmlands across key food and cash crops spectrum, with an emphasis on the development of domestic small and medium-scale agriculture and creating over 300,000 new jobs over the next 3 years of this administration. In addition, Edo State Agricultural Development Program and College of Agriculture, Igoraki, will be empowered to bring modern agricultural practices to our people. Accordingly, the sum of 1.5 billion naira has been proposed in the 2014 estimates. Water resources and water supply. The 2014 budget will focus on the completion of ongoing water scheme in the local government areas. Also, during 2014, more boreholes will be sunk to provide water to our people with the use of the newly acquired Dando rigs, which have successfully stored water in different terrain across Edo South, Edo Central, and Edo North. Consequently, the sum of 1.5 billion naira has been proposed in the 2014 capital budget. Housing and urban planning. Mr. Speaker, we are committed to providing affordable housing for our people. To this end, government intends to partner with real estate developers and financiers, other private-public partnership framework to facilitate the delivery of mass housing in a number of cities across the 3 senatorial districts. It's important that we point out that government does not intend to build houses directly, but will encourage real estate developers to partner with government in the delivery of such houses. Government has also established a geographic information system, GIS, to facilitate the accurate management of land in Edo State. In this regard, government will utilize the most recent technology to undertake area survey of the entire land mass of Edo State to enable the effective management of mineral resources, agriculture, road network, electricity infrastructure, housing, and other social amenities. Civil service reforms. In order to ensure that we restore our civil service to its previous world-class standard, we have decided to embark on major reforms of the civil service to make it more efficient and more effective. The civil service is being revamped to make sure that higher standards are enforced in the recruitment and promotion in the civil service. People have to be promoted not by reasons of how many years they have been on the job, but by reason of proven competence and efficiency. Steps have been taken to motivate our workforce. This includes promotion to those who deserve it and sustained training and retraining program. Edo State government will effective January 2014 commence the implementation of the contributory pension scheme so that we can have a fully funded pension scheme for our civil servants. We shall continue to ensure that existing pensioners receive their payments promptly. security. Security has been a major challenge which had tended to put Edo State in the news for the wrong reasons, thereby discouraging some potential investors. We are determined to sustain our efforts in this area, even as we must always point out that security agencies are on the exclusive list of the federal government. However, whatever additional effort we can make, as we have been doing, to continue to support our security agencies, we will continue to do so. Accordingly, in 2014, we will step up effort to ensure security of life and property in the state in collaboration with security agencies. We will continue to partner and support them in order to give them the necessary motivation and complement the procurement of security gadgets which they need to have effective policing and intelligence gathering. To reinforce our complementary role, we have taken a decision to restructure and reposition the Neighborhood Watch in order to make it more effective in dictating and combating crime, or at least being able to assist security agencies with reliable information. To demonstrate our seriousness in dealing with these menace, we were able, with the support of this honorable House, you had passed a bill which I have since signed into law to prescribe death penalty for proven cases of kidnapping and other related offenses. Let me put on record, Mr. Speaker, our sincere appreciation to the security and law enforcement agencies operating in Edo State for their steadfastness and sacrifices in ensuring that our state is no longer safe for anyone with criminal intention. Indeed, over the past 2 months, several hardened, criminals have been arrested, and many are under interrogation, and some are awaiting trial in our various prisons. And because of the effort of our security agencies, and this is something that we can check out, Edo State remains the safest state in the South-South geopolitical zone. It's also important to point out that a lot of the criminals that have been arrested on interrogation, it has been established that they are not necessarily resident in this state. Over 90% of them are resident in neighboring states. And that points to the complexity of the problem. Outlook for 2014. Mr. Speaker, sir, the outlook for our state in 2014 can be said to be promising, in spite of the drop in inflows from the Federation account arising from alleged crude oil theft. And of course, a substantial reduction in our internally generated revenue as a result of the downward review of the personal income tax. Mr. Speaker, we have a sound development strategy, and we have drawn important lessons in the process of implementation of our projects and programs over the past 5 years. We can say with confidence that we have since overcome the learning curve. We also have in abundance the political will and the critical mass of support to to drive our developmental agenda, sustain the gains we have so far made, and even to break new grounds. The urge to deliver more must compel us to wear our thinking caps and reflect more as to how to move the state forward by looking more and more inward, tapping into our creative resources and seizing the opportunities offered by the national and global marketplaces. Therefore, we should all look forward to 2014 with enthusiasm and confidence, in spite of the challenges in the oil sector. I believe 2014 will definitely usher in greater advances as we continue to build on the progress of today towards a better tomorrow. Mr. Speaker, sir, and honorable members of this honorable House, you have been kind enough to allow me to outline the core policy goals and objectives of the 2014 budget, which are aimed at improving the socio-economic well-being of our people. The set targets and parameters used for the formulation of the budget are realistic, pragmatic, and they are achievable. The 2014 budget is designed to ensure that we are on track towards sustaining our current developmental strategy. It stands as a testimony to our resolve to use our political power for nothing other than as an instrument for the promotion of the welfare of the greatest number of our citizens. As a responsible administration, we will continue to run an open government with prudent management of our scarce resources, while we shall focus on aggressive internal revenue generation to ensure smooth implementation of the budget estimate. We will also remain focused on the delivery of people-oriented projects and programs. No one has accused us of embarking on any white elephant project. All our projects are people-oriented and targeted at the mass of our people. Let me, at this junction, sir, once again express my deep appreciation to you, Mr. Speaker, for your leadership, and indeed to all the honorable members of this House of Assembly for your robust cooperation and support, which you have generously extended to the executive arm of government. This does not mean that we have agreed with each other on everything. We do not need to. But where we have had debate, it was about how best to do what we want to do, not whether we should do that will affect the quality of life of our people. I also wish to place on record my profound gratitude to His Royal Majesty Omonoba Nedo Uku Akpolokpolo, the Oba of Benin, the paramount traditional ruler in Edo State, and indeed to all our royal fathers across the length and breadth of Edo State, our religious leaders who have continued to remember us in their prayers, and I believe without their prayers we would not have enjoyed the amount of peace that we have almost taken for granted in Edo State, whereas the same cannot be said of some other parts of the country. I also want to place on record my appreciation to our various leaders of thought who have continued to share with us their wisdom, their support, and encouragement. Let me also place on record my appreciation of the role of the opposition political parties. Sometimes they have helped us to refocus on what we are doing, even though sometimes their actions has bordered on clear attempts to mislead the public and raise false alarm where there is none. I recognize the legitimacy of opposition and even the right for them to disagree with what everybody else agrees to. That is the best proof that we are indeed in a free society where people have a right to be right or wrong. Let me salute our labor leaders who have continued to represent the workforce and for all they have done to support this administration. I certainly will never take the support of organized labor for granted. This is not to suggest that there can be no moment of contestation. Indeed, labor represents the most democratic arm of society, and contestation and cooperation is part of the hallmark of a well-organized labor. Let me salute the youth for standing by us over the years, for engaging us on a variety of issues, and constantly drawing our attention to what we need to begin to do differently in order to ensure that our youths are meaningfully engaged. We can't claim that we have solved all their problems, but no one can deny that we have done a lot to demonstrate that we recognize that the youth needs to be assisted. Let me thank the general members of the public for their generous support and prayers, and assure them that we will never forget the fact that we are here only because they are there.